All right, hi everybody, and welcome. We're going to kick this off with a little video that we recently played at the Bench Film Festival. All right, everybody, we're going to kick this off with a little video that we played at the Bench Film Festival. All right, everybody, hi, and welcome to the Outward Pride Month Kickoff Party and Rally. My name is Fred Palmer, and for the last 25 years, I'm proud to bring you with my dedicated team, Outward Magazine. On our call today, joining us to celebrate Pride Month, we're going to have Mayor Darrell Steinberg, City Council Member Steve Hansen, the CEO of the Sacramento Lgbt Community Center, David Heitzman, and a special guest from the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. We're really excited to celebrate Pride Month, and now we have not just one Pride issue, but 3 Pride issues that we're going to bring you to celebrate everything we have around Pride Month. Our themes that we've decided to do, our Pride Month issue 1 is going to focus on heroes and icons, and we're going to celebrate a lot of LGBTQ heroes, icons. And then our Pride Month issue number 2, we're going to focus on activism and everything around that. And our Pride Month issue 3 in late June is our Stonewall edition and the Outward yearbook. And we're going to encourage our readers to participate in our fun yearbook project. We're going to have more information on that in our next issue, so stay tuned. And of course, everything is digital and online on social media and our new YouTube channel, where we hope to share all kinds of exciting events that our community partners have in store. So if any of you watching this with us today have organizations that are planning events, please be sure to let us know so we can share them in Outward Magazine. I mentioned that we have a new YouTube channel, so we're putting a lot of fun videos from past prides and events on our YouTube channel, and we're going to share some videos from some of our advertisers. And speaking about our advertisers, please support our advertisers. They're the reason that we're here every day. They're the reason that they make Outward possible. And we would love for you to support them and support their stores and everything that they have to offer. We at Outward, we've pivoted like many of you in our organization. We brought our happy hours to be virtual, so we've enjoyed a couple of those virtual happy hours. So please join us the second Friday of each month for our virtual happy hour. We have provided several resource guides in the last few issues in response to the pandemic, with information on everything from domestic violence programs, virtual AA meetings, senior resources, and more. We've donated ads to many organizations to help get the word out, like Weave, Habitat for Humanity, a new organization called Chambers United, and many community partners and programs to help keep our collective community connected. So I want to thank everyone for their support. We have launched something called the Outward Rainbow Fund, which was very hard for me to do, I have to tell you. But like a lot of LGBT publications in the United States and a lot of free press publications, everyone's struggling and having a hard time, whether it's free press publications or LGBT publications. So like many of them, we have launched the Outward Rainbow Fund, where you can support us at a variety of levels of the rainbow flag. So if you'd like to support, please go to outwardrainbowfund.com. And if you can't support financially, that's great. There's a lot of ways you can help support our community. I encourage you to volunteer your time and be active, be part of the solution and not part of the problem. So we just appreciate everything that everyone can do. Darrell is live in our studio, so I'd like to welcome and introduce our amazing Mayor, Darrell Steinberg. Thank you for all your leadership and your hard work during this crisis. How are you doing, Mayor?
I'm doing great, Fred. Thank you. How are you? Thanks for having me. I love it.
Yeah, this is kind of fun.
This is cool. This is the new way, you know. I feel like I do a talk show a day, you know.
I've loved watching some of your talk shows with the B. It's quite fun.
Yeah, you know, it's an opportunity to communicate, just like we're doing here tonight. 25 years, man. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. We put a little Facebook ask out for how many businesses in Sacramento have been around that long. There's quite a few of us, and quite a few of us in the LGBT community too, to celebrate.
I remember when you started. I do, because I was, I'm trying to really date myself here. I think I was a younger member of the city council.
I think you were, yeah.
Yeah, near in the middle of my city council tenure, and I remember when you started. And I also just remember anticipating the next issue. I always remember anticipating and what was covered and what's the city doing, and and those were days where we still had a lot of ground to break together when it comes to civil rights and the LGBT community. And we've come a long way, and we should never forget what it took to get there. And you and your magazine were one of the great pioneers here when it was a different time.
Thank you for that. We've all worked really hard as a community. I'm very proud of Sacramento, and I'm sure you are too, obviously.
I sure am. I mean, I was saying to somebody earlier that today that the city has changed quite a bit. Obviously, I mean, it has grown in profound ways. It's a much more vibrant city, much more dynamic, more art and culture and sports and food and all of that. But as it's grown, there has remained a constant, and the constant is its values. And it's the fact that it takes pride, pun intended, in being purposefully and intentionally inclusive, welcoming, engaging, easy to get involved. And, I love it. And it doesn't matter what diversity element is having its particular struggles or challenges or celebrations. We are all there for each other, and that will never cease, never ever. And it's really proud to continue to work, and I've worked with the LGBT community through some good times, through many good times, and some rough times. I remember the night, the Prop 8 night, and look where we are today.
Yeah. We all can support each other in a number of ways, and you've been wonderful supporting our community all the years that you've been part of city council, and just everything that you've done for our community.
Well, and I know, thank you, but I know now is another particular struggle financially for a lot of the businesses. I know for Outward, and this is, something obviously that none of us have ever experienced, where we don't have as much control in terms of the outcome that we want and so desperately desire. I know that we are trying in every way as a city to fill the gaps, to help, to bolster, to provide hope, both spiritual and tangible. Mm-hmm. And we'll continue to do that. And it's really important that the community activate and tell us where the greatest needs are, because we really feel it. Everybody feels it. And I really firmly believe that we're better positioned than a lot of other cities to get through this terrible time and to regain that momentum that, was so palpable before this thing started.
Well, thankfully, our city leaders and our statewide leaders took action early and closed down. So we stayed safe and flattened that curve and didn't overwhelm our hospitals. And, I think a lot of us business owners and community people have become experts in things like PPP and economic disaster loans and everything and anything that we can have to help each other. So, I think we're in a good position here in Sacramento with your leadership and our state leadership, that we're ahead of that from a lot of other cities, and we're looking forward to your leadership and how we slowly open up and do it correctly.
We will. It's, as I've been saying, and you've heard me, it's not a matter of if. The when is close, but it's a matter of how. And I think the more we continue to practice the necessary safety, take the necessary safety precautions, the easier and better it will be for us to return to work and to our community. And that's what we all want, and frankly, what we all need. So what does a virtual parade look like?
We're kicking around a few different ideas. A couple of folks on my team who are much more talented and skilled with video production and editing than I ever could be. We're hoping that some of our advertisers will send us a little video snippet of themselves and their business and what they're proud of. We're going to loop that all together and have a virtual Outward Advertisers Pride Parade on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy to, I'm happy to march in place here in my den if that would be helpful.
Fantastic. I've seen you with a rainbow flag in your hand. You look pretty darn good with it.
Tell me where to pick one up. I'll be the guy in the mask picking it up, and
fantastic.
I'll bring it home.
Yeah, later in the call, we've got the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence who are doing a mask project, so maybe they can make you a special mayor's mask.
I would be honored.
Yeah.
You kidding? Great. Yeah, style is important here.
Well, leave it to the LGBT community to have some style.
Exactly. Well, 25 years, I mean, it's really something to celebrate. And even though this will be a different kind of a celebration, it's one we'll never forget together. And the word that I keep trying to find every day is gratitude for people who in a community that is so loving, that is so strong, that isn't afraid to say we're having a hard time.
Yeah.
And
we're definitely a community who knows how to speak up. We're definitely a community who knows how to speak loud and be proud. We're definitely a community who knows how to fight. We're definitely a community who is familiar with viruses and how to mobilize and work together. So, again, we're all anxious to be able to do that hugging that we're so good at. And we can't do that in person, obviously. And we're looking forward to you and Councilmember Steve Hansen telling us a little bit about how, we're going to slowly open up and be able to be around each other, whether that's on I know you guys are planning a lot of possible things for bars and restaurants opening and some very unique plans to make that safe.
Well, Steve Hansen really just did a wonderful job leading us and the city to suggest this incredibly exciting and hopeful way that we can begin opening restaurants. And that is to open outdoor areas and to take advantage of our public spaces or patio spaces outside restaurants. And I think once we get the green light, this is going to take off big time because it's safer to be outdoors, of course. And I think it'll be a way, even if it's a slow way, for us to return to some community activity. But again, we're not quite there yet. The county, we're working with the county and the state around when this is possible. And it is that catch-22, if I can be political for a moment, with the failure of the federal administration to have a national strategy around testing, both the diagnostic test and the antibody test, that we have enough testing in Sacramento to meet the governor's criteria, but it all has to be done in just a very cautious and careful way so that when we do open, we're able to do so safely and continue to open and not go backwards. And right now, the state criteria do not allow any major urban sector to be able to open up restaurants. But I think that's going to change relatively soon. And I'm so pleased what Councilmember Hansen has done is that he didn't wait, and we did not wait until that order is lifted to begin planning how we might create this outdoor dining experience. But we're ready to go the minute we will be ready to go the minute the order is lifted.
Absolutely. And we know that you can change on a dime because things are going to change on a daily and weekly basis as we continue to maneuver through this. There's a cute little snippet on Facebook, I'm sure you and a lot of people saw. In Amsterdam, they had built some little greenhouses around tables so they could have outdoor dining with private little individual greenhouses. It was quite cute. So I think people are going to get innovative and come up with some ideas on how to be open and serve meals in a safe way and do events in a safe way and small.
There is, of course, there's a way. In fact, there are multiple ways. And what we might find over time is that some of those new ways are actually better than what we have done prior to this. Yeah. And nobody's Pollyanna about the difficulties and what people are facing. But we have to be hopeful. And then we have to practice hopefulness by actually doing some things that show people that there will be ways for us to commune and to be together.
Yeah, and hopefully everybody participates and follows the rules so the economic impact doesn't last longer and longer and longer.
Well, this is where I sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit of the scold here, but it's really so, what you just said is so true. Marcos Bertone last night on our Facebook was talking about, I don't look at Facebook that much, by the way. So maybe I'm either not, cool or maybe I'm happier. I'm not sure what it is. But
that's a smart thing. That's a very smart thing.
That's a very smart thing. But he was saying that over the hot, warm weekend that there were, a lot of people posting about, getting together for dinner parties and not practicing distancing and not wearing masks and, kind of ha, ha, ha. And I don't find any of it funny because they're jeopardizing the ability of an unemployed working person or struggling business to get back. Because if those kinds of irresponsible acts lead to a spike, then we're not going to be able to move forward on that which is essential. And now essential is more broadly defined. It's getting people and businesses back. That's what we want to do. So end of my scolding, but you're absolutely right. We just have to care for each other in the way that Sacramento always does, but in very tangible ways. And that means, if it's a little inconvenient or different for a while, so be it. We need to protect each other.
And I think we have to be flexible. So, I think we have to be flexible in what it is that we're trying to do to see what works and what might not work. We may have to pivot, make some changes. We may have to I call it being a chameleon. You have to change your approach like a chameleon does, and it might look a little bit different tomorrow or the next day than it did yesterday or today.
That's right. I mean, being nimble is the order of the day. I don't know, one day, am I going to work at home? Can I go into City Hall? How am I going to change my schedule? And, it's taken some adjustment in my mind, but okay, I get it. Even if it's a little inconvenient, it pales in comparison to what a lot of people are going through. And let's have empathy for those who are really hurting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, if anybody can come up with some creative ideas, I think it's the LGBT community. And again, if people break the rules, we'll make sure that we call them out on that. Maybe we'll put the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence out with some rulers.
You know what? It worked in the second grade. I mean,
that's right. Well, we're looking forward to everything that you and Councilmember Steve Hansen are going to do to help not just the LGBT community, but our community as a whole to recover a little bit economically, recover a little bit spiritually, mentally. Mental health is a big deal for many, many people, and many of us who've never experienced any mental health crisis issues are starting to have some. So, I think the big hug is what we need.
Well, I'll tell you, just what you just said takes courage, because the biggest problem with mental health is that we don't talk enough about it. And you can't be afraid to say if you're not feeling well. You wouldn't hesitate. People wouldn't hesitate to say, I broke my arm. I got a heart problem. You're feeling depressed and anxious. Please reach out to a friend, a family member. There's a lot of hotlines and warm lines where caring, trained people are on the other end. And know that you are not alone, that everyone going through this, if they're truly in touch, it is dealing with a mental health issue right now. Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you're not feeling a little bit of depression and anxiety going through this and everything is good and happy every time, you're not in touch with it. And so it's normal. And treat yourself the way you would treat a friend, which is to say you would encourage a friend. You would say, you would soothe a friend. Do the same for yourself, because nothing that you or anybody is feeling about it when you're feeling down is anything but normal. It's normal.
Yeah, and I think we all process things differently, and we all have things that help us calm down, whether that's gardening or going for a bike ride or meditating or just stopping and enjoying the scenery around you. And I think that's different for everybody, and sometimes it's difficult. I will admit it's difficult for me. I don't slow down. There's a few things I do to take care of myself and things that I enjoy, but it's very difficult for a lot of us to just say, I need to take a break. And many of us don't know how to do that. So it's important during this time to do that. And, we're missing our friends. We're missing our Pride celebrations. We're missing everything that makes us go and makes us who we are. So thank you for being here and celebrating Pride Month with us.
I'm honored to do so. And I know this, I cannot wait till the 2021 Pride Parade.
Yeah.
And many celebrations, hopefully long before that.
Absolutely. We're going to hear from the CEO of the Sacramento Lgbt Community Center about some of their virtual Pride events here in a little bit on this call.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, Fred. All the best. Peace to all of you. And love you all.
You too. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you so much. I hope everybody enjoyed hearing a little bit from our mayor. That was wonderful to have some time with him. Next up, I'd like to introduce a very dear friend, Councilmember Steve Hansen. Hi, Steve. It seems like just not too long ago, we were launching the Rainbow Sidewalk and the Lavender Heights Street Sign Project. And here we are now. We hope to have some new, more fun memories this year about upcoming Pride season. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about what you're working on, what you are proud of, and what Pride means to you, maybe, and then a little update on some of the initiatives you're working on for some of our restaurants, bars, and businesses.
Well, first, let me say happy 25th anniversary. I was reminiscing back to 1995, and I'm not quite sure when exactly the first issue came out. What month was it, Fred?
It was Rainbow Festival, the end of August that year.
So that's good, because if it were earlier in the year, I was just finishing my freshman year of high school. But because you were in August, I was a sophomore in high school. And those of you who remember that era, it was the Oklahoma City bombing, and so many different things were going on in the country. But it certainly is true what the mayor said, that we've come a long way. But you, Ron, Charlie, do such a great job. And we all know you not just from Outward, but from your work at the Rainbow Chamber of Commerce, which has been phenomenal during this period of time with our small businesses and with so many of our nonprofit partners. Obviously, too, the folks watching may not know the work you do with the community, helping put together program guides and raise money and cajole and maybe twist a little bit here and there to get money for critical nonprofits. And so thank you for all the work your team does around the community, Bent Film Festival being one of them. I know that came up earlier, but I think we're all a little sad to see the Gay Men's Chorus have to cancel their show this summer, and just so many different things going on. But I want to say thank you to you guys. Also, you were talking a little bit about masks with the mayor, and what he probably is not keyed into here is that we have a diva of mask making. We might actually have several, but our dear Taryn Through You, Jonathan Cameron, sprung right into action and started just making masks. A lot of people were helped immediately by Taryn's work. And I know that also we saw Kip Bridges just recently posting on Facebook about making masks for the sisters. They looked extra fabulous. And if I have a choice, I might pick out a key mask for Darrell that would really amp up his style a little bit, thanks to the amazing taste of the sisters and Kip. But there's a lot going on, and I know we're all struggling to figure out what it means. Here at our house, my partner and I, we've got our toddler who is going through his terrible twos right now and trying to figure out why he can't go to school and go to the park and, just wants to go outside all the time. But we're working through it, and we're trying to do our best.
Well, we might need to get your son a mask sewn by one of the drag queens. There's a lot of drag queens with a sewing machine right now, it sounds like.
So I have to tell you, Taryn was the first one to provide Henry with a mask. And then not far behind him was Kip through the Artist Collective at Atrium and the costumers working to make masks. So he has a couple really beautiful masks thanks to our community and friends. And we really appreciate their efforts. I know you talked briefly about the Farm to Fork Alfresco stuff that we launched yesterday. It's pretty exciting. And honestly, we launched it right at the heart of Lavender Heights. Terry Seide from Faces looked on as we announced this program. And it really is a way to provide hope, but also to do what we're really good at. We love throwing a party. We love throwing a party outside. It's the spirit of pride. And so why don't we take advantage of this guidance from the state to reduce dining capacity indoors and let people come out. Let's enjoy our streets. Let's enjoy our tree canopy and really make the most of getting back to some safe but enjoyable form of life.
Yeah, we'll see how all those events are going to happen. I talked to Joe at Mango's today about how
he was there too yesterday.
Yeah, and he's very excited about your alfresco idea and possibilities, and looking forward to that happening. I don't know if we'll be able to do a drag queen bingo alfresco. That's a hands-on kind of event, and I think those of us at the Rainbow Chamber would have to make sure we buy 7 new fresh wigs every time, because we don't want to put on a dirty wig. That's for sure.
Right. Well, and we've been talking about busking at some of these outdoor dining locations. I think that it might be appropriate to have a few surprise drag performances at some of our alfresco locations. Alfresco is AF.
Yeah. So. Great.
So there's still a lot of good things going on, and I don't know if everybody's following the news, but right before the stay-at-home order happened, and I know David is going to be part of this discussion, but the city had worked very hard with the LGBT Center to get a home for the center that was permanent, and they're able to buy a building right there on 20th Street that used to be the News and Review headquarters, and moved in right before all this happened, fortunately and unfortunately. And so that we're looking forward to being able to get in and see that building as a community. And I've been really impressed to see the work they're doing with the transition age youth at the youth shelter that we also partnered with the center on. And that program has been really successful, and I think a great grounding opportunity for some of these kids that need a place because they are no longer welcome in their homes. And then in really, I think, exciting news, we've been working for, I want to say 6 years, I can't remember the exact number, on the Lavender Courtyard project up at 16th and F. And we just finally, a couple weeks ago, got the final piece of funding awarded. And assuming everything stays on track, which I think it will, we should break ground on that this summer or early fall, so that our LGBT community, as it ages, has a safe place. It's LGBT inclusive, so even allies like Darrell, as they get older, could find a home there.
Yeah, well,
I mean, Mayor Steinberg.
Yeah. Thank you for all your work on all those projects. And also back when you were in high school, I don't know if you know that building that you helped buy for the LGBT Center. It was News and Review, but before that, it was a mortuary.
Funeral home. Yeah.
Yeah, when the News and Review opened, they opened on Halloween, and they made it a kind of a themed Halloween haunt party when they opened and moved into that building.
I think that's great. You know, I hope the spirits are happy, and I hope they carry us forward.
Very much. Well, and David Heitzman's going to be on the call here in a moment. He'll tell us all about the fabulous things that they're planning at the LGBT Center for Pride Month. But Steve, how are you going to celebrate Pride Month with yourself and your family?
Well, this is last year's Pride shirt, so we're going to get our Pride shirts made for this year to celebrate. We don't want to kill the swag just because we can't get together as part of the festival. I think we're all looking for ways to connect with one another, whether it's virtually through some of the events that the center might organize, or you as a drag queen bingo might do virtually. I think we're going to also have to remember that Pride is one of the biggest fundraisers for our community. And many of our groups that come together there use it as a membership drive opportunity, as an ability to connect. And we have to maintain those opportunities. And so I think that I just want to encourage the community, if you're a nonprofit or you're a group that comes to Pride, find another way to celebrate Pride. We're still going to raise the rainbow flag, the inclusive rainbow flag, over City Hall. We did that for the first time last year. We also raised the trans flag for Transgender Awareness Day. And we're doing a lot of other things, and we're just going to continue to do that. We want people to be inspired, to be hopeful, but to keep fighting. And in the end, Pride will be happy if we want it to be happy, but it also is a fight. And right now we're fighting not just to remember that LGBT people are disproportionately impacted, we believe, by COVID. And I want to congratulate Senator Wiener for elevating this issue. Scott Wiener, LGBT senator from San Francisco, got a bill passed yesterday working with Equality California. The governor's committed to collecting data on our community to make sure that as we look at the disparities here, and having seen our community go through such distress over the HIV/AIDS crisis, a lot of people felt written out because the data wasn't being collected. People didn't want to know, but we do want to know. And so we're going to just have to push through this, make sure everybody gets the help they need. And I'm really excited to be in this fight for our community. And Pride for us, I don't know if we're going to be still here at home with our toddler, but it might be a little different than past years.
Well, if anybody's watching this from other cities, we hope you support your city's Pride efforts, your city's LGBT publications, and your city's nonprofits. David Heitzman and I spoke a couple days ago, and we're hoping that we can work together with a lot of the nonprofit LGBT organizations to kind of fight for the common good and support each other. So we're looking forward to that the rest of the year.
And you know, we have a lot of great LGBT artists, musicians, painters, photographers. I saw Michael Sestek made a comment, you know, lighting designers. And I think this is an opportunity for us to help support some of those arts installations or some of those artists by finding new ways to, whether it's through Farm to Fork al Fresco or other things, to get people out there. And, you know, if people want, you know, let's work together to make sure that they have their voices heard and enjoyed as well.
Absolutely. And Steve, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate everything you've done over the years. And I've watched you, I don't want to say grow up, but I've kind of.
Well, I am a lot older than when you started this, Fred. If
Well,
only I were 15 all over again. That would be a very interesting.
You've done to fight for equality for all of us in our community. We very much appreciate your work and everything you've done. And we're really excited to see what's next in your life, too.
Well, we're all just spending one day at a time right now. And so it's wonderful to be part of our community and to work with you and everyone else. And I know that there's so much left to do.
Absolutely. We very, very much appreciate all your work.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, Steve, I'm going to say goodbye to you.
Happy Pride.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve, again for everything. And next up is David Heitzman, the CEO of the Sacramento LGBT Community Center. David, again, I can't believe how time flies. I think it was just a year ago we were celebrating Pride Awards, and Drag Queen Bingo won a Pride Award. And just in February, which seems like that was a lifetime ago, we were celebrating you winning one of the Chamber's Business Leader of the Year awards. And then also we were celebrating the funding for your new digs, which feels like that was a year ago. I don't even know when that was. So we're really looking forward to Pride Month and everything that you and your team have planned. So why don't you tell us what's happening with your programs and Pride Month planning?
Well, thank you very much, Fred, for inviting me to participate today. Outward and yourself included are really foundational of the community. They keep us informed and they keep us entertained and engaged, and really share a lot of resources, as you talked about earlier, as a resource guide for folks, especially in these times of crisis. I really appreciate the Rainbow Chamber giving me that award earlier in the year. And it really is a recognition of the distance that we've come with the center and in the community. And that wouldn't be possible without folks like yourself over the last 25 years, both fighting for our equality and equal rights and the cultural institutions that make our community really rich and vibrant. And I mean, you just had Steve on as our out city council member, who really added a voice that was missing and where our community is often invisible in community public office. And so he's been instrumental in putting a permanent stake in the ground, designating Lavender Heights with signs and rainbow crosswalks, and really for the first time having the city recognize like the value of the LGBTQ community and making it a permanent space that's held for our community. We're really proud to be able to have purchased the building and put our stake in the ground here for the community right in Lavender Heights. Either like we couldn't have gotten a better location and a better deal for the community to always have a permanent home. And both Steve and the mayor worked really hard on that and in helping us come up with the funding for a down payment on the building, and then also their ongoing support for LGBT homeless youth in our homeless youth programs and our housing programs. Steve mentioned the new mutual housing program that finally is going to have Lavender Courtyard launch. And it's just amazing, really, how far we've come over the last 25 years that Outward's been around, and really even the last just 5 years that our community has really come into its own and had the opportunity for the city to invest in our homeless programs, invest in mental health services, invest in youth pop-up events. And I am increasingly proud to call Sacramento home, where organizations like the Sisters and drag queens and LGBT bars have always been there to support community. But now like public officials and the city is also supporting those efforts. Because there are so many ways in which the world unconsciously tells queer and trans folks that this is not the place for them at school or at work, or when they go to visit any kind of service provider. And it's especially important that we work extra hard to not only create safe spaces, but to create opportunities for our community to thrive. And I'm just really thankful that we have so many organizations that support the arts, like the Bent Film Festival, the Gay Men's Chorus, the sports leagues, obviously the Rainbow Chamber and Stonewall, Outward Magazine, all of our LGBT bars and restaurants, and some really cool events like Sacramento Pride, the festival, and the march, and QProm that we're not going to have an opportunity to do in person this year, but are still so critically important to create spaces where the LGBTQ community feels safe and seen, where their life experiences are validated, and where they can sort of see themselves and the potential for the future. I think back to the Stonewall riots and the time when queer and trans folks were really fighting for their survival. And that's something that queer folks of color and trans folks of color in particular continue to fight. And that we have to be there to be supportive and increase visibility, because as much as there is popular culture that has certain portrayals of LGBTQ community members, there's still kind of a long ways to go. And that's especially true for queer and trans folks of color. And in the COVID crisis in particular, we're seeing that communities of color are disproportionately impacted. LGBT folks that have health disparities are disproportionately impacted. They're more likely to be essential workers or to have been underemployed or unemployed. And so that creates an even larger disparity as we're coming out of the crisis and trying to find ways to support the community. So here at the center, we did a lot of work to move a lot of our services online, to provide remote service delivery to the greatest extent possible while the center, because this building is closed. Our housing programs continue to operate 24 hours a day. But it kind of it saddens me to see 20th MK as our cultural hub be kind of empty right now.
Yeah, well, we've come a long way, and all the programs that you have are so very much appreciated. And there are a lot of people in our community that are struggling. There's a lot of people who are losing not just their jobs, but their health insurance. So, that affects everybody, but especially in the LGBT community. I love everything that you guys are doing, and I love that you have your building. Again, just a little bit of history. One of the first times I entered your old building when it was called the Lavender Community Center, and obviously we all know Jerry Sloan and love him for what he did to help start and fund the Lambda Community Center. But my first experiences with the Lambda Community Center was to go to gay traffic school. That was one of your programs that you had. So that was kind of fun. And then also back then was the Stop AIDS Project, where we all were learning on safe sex and safe sex kits and what that meant. So, your center and your building was a spot and was the cornerstone for our community and still is.
Yeah, I mean, folks like Jerry Sloan, like you mentioned, Marge Covino and Terry Seide, and folks like really, they're the ones who made this Lavender Heights, like made Midtown and this part of the city that was full of warehouses and empty storefronts and things where no one wanted to go right now. And now, 41 years later, in the center's history, like it's a place where everyone wants to be. And that's really exciting. And I'm so thankful for those folks who really put themselves out there at a time when it wasn't safe and it wasn't legal. And there was a lot of ridicule and fear. And as you mentioned, like the Stop AIDS Project and other things where the center and these folks really stepped forward and said, no, we need to stand up for one another, and we need to be there all the way from Stonewall. That's really what that's about. Like that, we've had enough of this, and we're here for one another, and before anyone else is here for us. And so I'm really proud of that in the community, both internally and from the city's participation in helping support us as well.
Absolutely. So tell us how we can support you today. What is it that we can do for you? Obviously, donations is a good thing, but if people can't support financially, and hopefully they will, but tell us how we can support you, how our community can step up.
Sure, absolutely. So we are in the process of creating a whole virtual Pride experience. So while Pride itself in person gatherings might be canceled, the spirit of Pride and the love and pride that we have in our community and in our homes and in ourselves can never really be taken away. And so we really are hoping that folks will engage with the center online and will engage with one another online. And that is really the lifeblood of our community. So donations absolutely are a great supporter. We're going to face a significant revenue losses with the cancellation of all of our events this year. But it's really about trying to bring people together. So that means that community businesses, the LGBT organizations in town, individuals who really want to celebrate with their families, LGBTQ artists and performers. We are going to try and find as many ways as we can where folks can both show pride in their own home, in their business storefront as we start to open the world again, and then showcase LGBTQ artists and performers in performances online, and engage local businesses who are also emerging from this crisis, restaurants. There's a lot of LGBT-owned businesses in Sacramento that we really want to support and highlight to the greatest extent possible. So we're planning a whole week's worth of Pride events in Pride Month and other things throughout the month as well. But the whole week of June 21st to the 28th will be a series of workshops and youth-focused events and healthy lifestyle events, as well as a lot of fun and entertaining kinds of things and opportunities for that activism and engagement that really are the basis for Pride in the first place.
Well, great. Well, we'll look forward to having all that information in one of our three or all three of our Pride Month issues, and the community can hear about what you're doing. Across the screen was just your website, so all of our viewers can see your website and go to find out about your programs, what you're doing, and hopefully make a donation to support you. So let us know what else we can do as a community to support you and your efforts, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Fred. It's really those positive messages. My birthday was earlier this week, and I got so many like heartwarming with supportive messages that were really just a wonderful celebration of how much people really do care and how much they want to be supportive and helpful. So yeah, please have folks check out sacramentopride.org or saccenter.org is the center's website for more information about what we have upcoming and how people can get involved.
Well, and I'm really proud of our community. We have an amazing amount of subsectors of our community, everything from the drag queens to the leather community, the bear community, you know, and I think it's really important for us all to realize we're all in this together and to kind of step up and support each other, all the different pieces of our community that come together that kind of weave together to make a little fabric.
That is absolutely true. The true value in our community is sort of the diversity and inclusiveness, where there's a place for everyone. And whoever you are, however you are, whatever you, however you want to celebrate, there's space for that. And we really want to help be the connector that sort of educates folks and helps showcase the value of all of that.
Absolutely. I think we're dealing with something that I don't think anybody in our lifetime has ever seen. If you take, you know, every major disaster, a hurricane, 9/11, the Great Depression, if you ball all those things up together and put them into one format, it's like a giant tsunami that's coming across the entire planet, not just the United States. And it's all those things wrapped up into one thing that none of us have ever dealt with. So we're going to have to work together to get through it.
Yeah, this morning I was listening to a news story, and they were talking about how they expect that unemployment will reach 25%, which is just unthinkable. I mean, I always had to pull over to the side of the road, just imagining a quarter of this country's population being out of work. And so for the LGBT population that was already underemployed, already unemployed, already had a difficult time accessing mental health services, homelessness, poverty, you know, youth having stress in school, and some young people are now trapped in an unaccepting household. All these things that were already major issues and we were just starting to sort of make progress on locally are only going to be exacerbated by this crisis. And so we are really committed to finding whatever ways we can to continue fighting, to continue serving our community. And we really are going to need everyone in the community to come together to help support that work.
Well, I think that's one good thing the LGBT community is very good at is mobilizing together and fighting together and putting our arms up in the air and yelling and screaming. So, you know, whether that's the drag queen community, the leather community, the LGBTQ community, transgender rights, and we all fight all the time. So we're used to it and we can keep doing it.
That's you have it exactly right there. We are an extremely resilient community. We are not ones that go down without a fight, and we are going to fight to the end. And so I have a great level of confidence that we will find a way to get through this if we all stick together and work together.
Thank you, David. All right, well, next up, there's a lot of organizations sewing masks, and it's hard because I love every single one of them. CG&IE is sewing masks. I think Misha Kennedy over at the gallery is sewing masks. I know a lot of the court is sewing masks. And you're all doing great work. So I celebrate every single one of you. We do have one final person. I only had 5 slots, so it was very difficult to choose who we wanted to hear from. And certainly the court's very important and all the drag queen community is very important. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence are doing a project. So I'd like to bring on novice sister Agnes. The sisters are doing a mask project, which they brought to our attention, and Outward, along with Rainbow Chamber of Commerce, is supporting a UC Davis Health Residents Program. And so some of those residents, we're doing some efforts to support them with some healthy snacks and some other fun stuff. And the sisters are making some wonderful masks, and they've offered to give some of the proceeds to the Rainbow Chambers program to help some of those residents at UC Davis Health. So novice sister Agnes Flamingo, I didn't know the last part, Flamingo. Tell us about your mask project and how you're going to help us.
Thank you so much, Fred. I just want to take a quick second and thank not only the mayor for joining this today and you and Outward for organizing this, obviously Councilmember Hansen and David from the LGBT Center. Awesome. And thank you for giving us one of those 5 spots. Yes, so a lot of folks are doing masks, and the sisters wanted to get involved, and we've decided we've got some great sisters making masks. I know Steve had mentioned earlier, Kip and the Sacramento costumers, which the sisters work with, have been doing a lot of masks. And so we decided, hey, we would love to offer masks to the community, figure out a way to raise some funds for a worthy cause. And we decided the Rainbow Chamber of Commerce's fund would be an excellent beneficiary of funds that we could raise. And so I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I have a couple samples of some masks that are.
Please show.
We got, some with some pride, little paws, rainbow paws. We've got this beautiful glam, shiny. So we have a bunch of our sisters and folks at the Sacramento costumers whipping out as many masks as possible to get ready for our event on June 6th, which is a Saturday. And we are going to actually be at the Kennedy Gallery on June the 6th, where folks can, once they've pre-ordered masks, and we'll explain how they can do that soon, they can literally stay in their cars, drive up to the Kennedy Gallery at the corner of 20th and L, and sisters will deliver their masks to their car at a safe distance, of course, with masks on ourselves, and really hope to raise some funds to benefit a worthy cause, which is that scholarship fund for the Rainbow Chamber. So Kennedy Gallery has not only been kind enough to let us use their space to do this and hand out these masks, but they're also going to allow us to put the masks on their webpage. And I believe, Fred, that the next issue of Outward is going to have an article about this, how people can look at the masks, find them online, order, when and where to pick up. All the people will be in the next Outward, so we're really looking forward to that.
We thank you for that. And you almost said episode of Outward, which you can call it an episode. I think that's kind of a new tagline, the next episode of Outward.
I know. I mean, everything's video, everything's episodes now. I mean, like, it's like, woo, what are we going to do? And we are looking forward to making something for the mayor. We're going to hold Steve Hansen to that, getting one to the mayor. And was it you who mentioned the nuns with the rulers out at the alfresco dining? Nuns have a history with rulers, as you know. So that might be something, if I talk to some of our fully professed sisters in the house, that we may be able to work with some rulers. I'm just saying, we want to be beneficial to the community.
We'll have to make that a fun photo op. Well, in the next issue or episode of Outward, you can read about what the sisters are doing and how to get those masks. All of you that are watching, all of your organizations and nonprofits, I invite you to send us an email about what you're doing so we can include it in one of the upcoming 3 Pride issue themes. Our deadlines are every other Monday. So our next deadline's next Monday. If you'd like to send us something to be included in Pride issue 1. And then after that, every other Monday, our deadline. So we do look forward to all of the different organizations, whether it's an LGBT poetry reading or book club or nuns or the drag queens or CG&IE or the leather community. So please make sure you send us what it is that you're doing and your information of your events so we can include them. I'd like to, are we going to bring back, Andrew, are we bringing back Steve or David? There's David. Are we bringing back, there's Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
The mayor probably had to run. So any last closing words from any of you? And thank you for taking your time. Steve, how about?
I'm just going to tell Sister Agnes that I definitely want to see her around some of our farm to fork alfresco sites.
I'll be there.
Okay, good. It'll mean that we'll have to ensure physical distancing because you'll be so popular.
Thank you.
We might need to put a hoop skirt around you so we can keep hoops away.
We could always get that champagne hoop skirt thing with all the cups on it. So Sister would be especially popular that night.
Hey, I tried to source and find one of those for boas and bow ties. So I have a source for one of those champagne hoop skirts, actually.
Awesome.
And David.
And happy belated birthday, David.
Thank you, Steve.
And David, thank you again for everything. Do you have any last closing words?
Just thank you very much. This was really nice and a great opportunity to showcase sort of what we have planned and what's going on in our community. Thank you very much, Steve and Sister Agnes. I look forward to Pride Month ahead.
Fantastic. And sister, thank you for joining us. And everybody watching, thank you so much. We look forward to continue to bring you some great resources in Outward Magazine. Again, outwardmagazine.com. Please support all of our organizations and everything that we do. And let's just give each other a big, giant hug because we all need it. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Andrew, in the background. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.
Bye, Fred. Thanks, everyone.